First and foremost, at this time, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Devin Chandler, former Wisconsin Badger football player and UVA football player. We're excited about heading out to national championships this weekend. We're one of 19 programs in the country that have both genders participating in the championships. We're one of 5 Big Ten women's teams. Women were selected fourth at large. And I think that's testimony to great season they've had. Starting off at Nuttycombe, just a fun fact, there's 23 women's teams from the Nuttycombe Invitational heading to Stillwater on the women's side. It also testimony to their great run at the Big Ten Championships and obviously last weekend's regional. So excited about our women heading back to the national championships. On the men's side, obviously the last 2 meets, the Big Ten Championships, and this past weekend's regional meet went really well. And now it's on to Stillwater, and we're looking forward to that challenge. Obviously, it's 31 of the best teams in the country on both genders, and presents different challenges. The course is exciting, challenging, and we had struggled with it, I guess, the last time we were there in 21. So tried to get rid of the demons from 2021 and hope for a great performance.
We have microphones on both sides, so we'll take questions. Thanks, Zach.
You mentioned Nuttycombe. How did that meet kind of help you get to this point in the season for both the men's and the women's teams?
Well, certainly on the women's side, we were 13-4 tied for 13th with Syracuse. They beat us out in, at the end, but in a tiebreaker. But we gained a lot of points from that. So, obviously when it comes down to the at-large selection, there's only 13 teams. So to go in at number 4, it goes all the way back to Nuttycombe, and then to get 23 teams out of Nutty, it just shows the prestige of that meet. On the men's side, we were 7th at Nuttycombe, but we knew after winning the Big Tens we were in a pretty good position. Winning the regional meet was an automatic bid, so 2 different scenarios for each gender.
Dan?
Can you talk about your men's team in the regionals, the fact that only 6 seconds separated your top 6 runners, and how well that prepares you for the national meet?
Well, just a correction, it was 0.8 of a second separating 6 guys. But even if it was 6 seconds, we'd take it. We got out there. The guys executed the race plan to perfection. It doesn't happen, often. When you get 6 guys firing on all cylinders, it's a special day. Different than the Big Ten. There were 6 guys on our team that went after the individual championship at Big Ten, and that presented, different challenges for each individual. But to see them come together as a team on Saturday or Friday last at the regional meet was just special. And those special days, we're going to need one of them on Saturday.
Can you talk about Bob Liking and how much he has kind of stepped into that leadership role for the men? Yeah,
Bob, again, how do you run the regional meet? He came up to me a couple of days before and was, Bob, your job is to keep the team together. He did a great job with that. In fact, 2 or 3 of the guys at different stages in that 10K race took over the leadership role. But when we go to Stillwater, Bob, without doubt, is our ace, and he is the green light to go and run with the top guys in the country. The rest of the guys, if we can run the way the rest of the guys ran on Friday at the regional meet, we're going to be in good shape.
And on the same side, on the women's, you've had a couple, Shea Ruley step up pretty much all season, but then this past weekend, Sammy had a great race.
Just a point of order on the women's side. Last time I was up here, I talked about Alexi Williams on the team. We don't have Alexi Williams. That was an old man boo-boo. And we do have Alexi Wesley, and she's as tough as nails, and she ran unbelievable on Friday at the regional meet. And it's great having her back in the lineup. She was injured for our early meets. Big Tens was her first outing, and just to see her on last Friday at regionals, just toughing it out. Short of training, and without her, maybe we might not be on the plane to Stillwater. But credit to Alexi for staying with it, coming back, fighting through the injury, and now she's off to the national championships. And we're a better team having her, having Lexi Wesley on our team. There's no Lexi Williams. So the Jersey girls will be very happy that I was able to plug that one.
Jim.
Mick, this could probably be a really long-winded answer, but can you take us through, like, when you talk about a race plan, how much does that change within the race? How much, like, are we talking every mile the plan is, every 5 minutes? Like, how much is that evolving as the race goes on?
You're asking Mick Byrne to give you a short version? Having the experience of being to Stillwater back in 21, the COVID year, we ran in March, right after the NCAA indoor meet, so there were 2 national championships in one weekend. Presented all kinds of challenges. First off, most teams hadn't been to that course before. It's real hilly. It's a real challenging course, especially over the last 3 to 4 kilometers, a second loop around. I don't know that it's any harder than what we faced at the Big Ten meet in Michigan. So we did a good job in navigating our way around the Michigan golf course with their hills. This, in terms of the national championships, it's, you got the 31 best teams in the country. We saw the results. We know the results from 21. The first 2K was suicidal in 21. A couple of Kenyans got into a contest and just dragged the entire race. And a lot of people suffered late in the race, including us. So I think people are going to be a little bit more cautious of the first loop, the first 5K, and get ready for the challenge of the hills on the second loop around. So I think more people are going to break it down kilometer by kilometer. We have the splits for each kilometer for 21 championships, and we've studied them. And we just have to do our homework and look at where the hills are, what kilometers they're coming at, where the downhills are, and we'll just break it down piece by piece, as opposed to last time we went into it totally with blinders on. Not very smart, but we're prepared for it this time.
One more, AJ.
Coach, what was the goal of the team at the start of the year?
Great question, AJ. We went to cross-country camp up in Door County back the last weekend, August, and we brought Kwaku Smith, our sports psychologist, did a fantastic job meeting with the guys. And independent of the coaches, the guys came back, they met, came back with a goal. And it wasn't what I thought they'd say. I thought, maybe, win Big Tens, get on the podium. Their goal basically is to run their best race of the season at the national championships, and wherever that lands. And it was an interesting take on it from the athletes' part, because I would have said, our goal would have been, hey, let's finish in the top 6. Looking ahead to 2024 when we host the meet here in Madison, these guys are young. Most of them are going to be back for 24. So let's start there as opposed to where we've been the last 2 years. But an interesting goal. And if they do that, certainly after the performance of last weekend, the incredible, under 1 second spread between 1 and 6, which probably was the best spread around the nation. But means nothing unless you do it again on Saturday at the national championships. So the goal is to run our best meet of the year on Saturday.